Okay, my name is Sylvia. Turo and I are realtors. We've been working in real estate. Well, he's been working in real estate for over 30 years, and I joined him after I finished homeschooling our 6 kids 10 years ago. Got my license, and then we work together now with Keller Williams. And one of our big passions is education, and we just want to be able to have every opportunity to help people get the information that they need so that they can make the decisions that's best for them. Everyone is different, everyone has different goals, and we bring the topics out. If you ever have a topic that you want more information on, either we do it or we invite a guest who can do it. But it's our goal to be able to give out the information that's necessary to help people say, hey, this is something that I would like to do. And I'm thinking that that's something that maybe caught your eye about fix and flips that you wanted to learn more about. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Would you like to be making a high income? I think one of the things fix and flips does for us is gives us the possibility to be able to increase our income outside of our jobs, outside of whatever we're doing. And so buying, fixing, and selling real estate without ever having it done before. Sometimes we look at social media and we think, wow, these people really know what they're doing, but nobody started that way. So everybody started from the very beginning, and people have had, opportunities and made mistakes along the way, and they learn from their mistakes and they keep on doing it. And we actually have some clients who we have a podcast that we let out once a month, and they are going to be in the podcast. And we actually it'll be it's already out. Actually, this one is already out. It was out this month, and we actually went to the different locations that they have where they've been fixing and flipping for a few years now. So it is possible. So I just wanted to give you a disclaimer. We are real estate agents with Keller Williams Thrive. We are not attorneys, certified public accountants, or financial advisors. Therefore, this course should not be considered legal, tax, or financial advice. Users of our material are responsible for complying with all laws and regulations applicable to their business. It is important that users verify and comply with all relevant local, state, and federal laws and regulations, including tax laws. We are not responsible for any loss or damage that may result from the use of this material. Before making any decisions, please consult with your team or professionals. And that's very important for us to understand because, again, different locations have different rules. You may have different priorities. And so all of those things have to be discussed with people who you know and that you trust. So who are we? Arturo and I are members of NAREP, which is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. We've been realtors again Arturo's been a realtor for over 30 years. We co-own Escobar Homes and Family, and we've done more than 100 workshops about finances, real estate, and family. So fix and flips. What is a fix and flip? Basic concepts and benefits. The definition is flipping is buying a property with the intention of increasing its value, usually remodeling and selling to earn a quick profit. What has stopped you from doing fix and flips before? For most of us, it's a lack of information or a lack of time, right? And so we're hoping to be able to help you with some of that today. What property would you buy to do a flip? We're going to be talking about that and about the decisions based on numbers versus emotions. That's really important because sometimes we see a property and we want to go for the property even though the numbers don't add up. It's really important to know what the numbers are, and we're going to be talking about how we figure that out. So I would like you to, where you are right now, to kind of make a promise and say, I will buy a property based on numbers, the risk and the commitment of time, not based on my emotions. I will buy a property based on numbers, the risk and the commitment of time, not based on my emotions. That's super important. Emotions sometimes help us make some major mistakes, and some of them we get to recover from, and some of them take us longer to recover from. So we want to make sure that we look at the numbers. So we're going to be talking about these 5 points today. Find a good property, analyze the numbers, find the cash, fix the property, and resell the property. So we're going to start by asking you, why do you want to do a flip? How much would you like to make in the next 12 months with flips? Some people make a goal of doing just one. Let's try this one for this year. Some people want to do 2 or 3. As people become more proficient, I've known people who have done 6, 8 flips in 1 year, and they just have the system that they've created for themselves, and it flows for them. But you might want to try just one. How would your life and the lives of those around you change if you could make money, X amount of money extra a year? What would you do, and where could you invest it? So these are some of the questions that you want to ask, because when we're doing something new, sometimes we get scared. You know, we're not familiar with it, we get a little scared, but we have to kind of keep the why in mind so that it energizes us and empowers us to make to take the next step. Would you buy this property? That's a lot, doesn't it? It looks like a lot. Would you buy this property? How about this property? Well, there's 3 factors to consider. We don't really know. First, we have to do the numbers. We have to find what the risk is and how long it's going to take us to fix it and how much time do we have. Okay, so there are 3 factors to consider. 1, the numbers, 2, the risk, and 3, the time. So finding a good deal. The key to finding excellent property opportunities is looking for motivated sellers, properties in bad shape, properties with hidden value. There are people who have been doing this for a little while, or maybe somebody who might be new, who's just gutsy. Go knock on somebody's door and say, hey, have you been thinking about selling your property? I'd be interested in buying it. I know people who do that. So you can see where there's bad shape. Now, this is obviously in really bad shape, but sometimes you see other things that maybe like their the front is messed up, or the roof is old. And some people are fed up sometimes with their situation, and they just haven't thought about taking the next steps. So you might be the answer to their prayers. The key to finding excellent property opportunities is bank-owned properties. That's a good place to look. Frustrated property owners, like landlords. Some people are ready to retire and they're ready to sell their place. Maybe they've lost a renter or 2 and they haven't had the money to be able to fix the property and they're just frustrated. Behind on payments. Unfortunately, that happens to people. They get behind on their payments. They might be looking for a way out. Damaged properties. We've already talked a little bit about that. Auctions are another way to do it. That would take some more education on our part to learn how to do the auctions, but it is possible. And there are other ways to do that. Let's see. So where do we find damaged properties? Well, there's rental properties, like I mentioned. There's condemned properties. There's properties contaminated with harmful substances. Now that might sound scary, but we can hire people to fix those problems, whatever they may be. And the MLS, as realtors, we have access to the MLS, and one of the things that we can do is look for keywords. When you hire a realtor, we can find the keywords like TLC, water damage, etc. Those become places that people are selling because they don't want to, or they don't have the ability to fix them. And usually they're gonna be cheaper than a house that's in great condition. So properties with hidden value, properties that could be subdivided. We're selling a property right now that has two lots. Well, somebody who wants to build another house in the other lot. So when you look at properties, sometimes you can see that they have hidden value in them. So properties that could be subdivided. Properties where land use can be more valuable. Properties where multifamilies can be built. Have a client right now, they're building more floors. And some people convert the property into a 2-unit. So those are things that you can do when you look at property or look at things with those kind of eyes and see what the possibilities are. So what makes an excellent deal? Well, here we go with the numbers. Numbers are really important. Analyzing the numbers. So you found a property. Now what? How do I know if the numbers make sense? So we're going to do the numbers. I'm going to send you an email with the kind of like a sample calculator so that you can kind of play with the numbers. But this is a calculator that we're going to use just to give you an idea. So how do we analyze these numbers? Let's say you find a property and you think you can fix it in 4 months. So over here we have 4 months to fix the property. This ARV is after repair value. After repair value. And you're calculating that it's going to be around 620, considering the market, considering where it is, considering what you're going to be doing to it. You think the value is going to be around 620,000 when you're done with it. When you actually sell it, there's a cost, right? There's closing fees to be considered. That's usually around 5 to 10%. If it ended up to be 5%, 5% of 620,000 is 31,000. So we're going to take the 31,000 and we're going to put it here. Then we have holding costs. That's what it costs you to keep the property. Now remember, you're thinking you're going to keep the property for 4 months. So we have here utilities. Let's say utilities are $400. They total up to $400 a month. $400 a month times the 4 months, 1,600. Now, let's say it's a condo. If it's a condo, it's probably going to have HOA fees. We're not going to use that as an example here. But let's say the property taxes are $3,600 a year. 3,600, and of course, it depends on where you are and what the property is. But 3,600 divided by 12 times 4. 3,600 divided by the 12 months times 4, the months that you're going to keep it, is 1,200. And then let's say your insurance is $300. 300 a month times 4, 1,200. Let's go to the financing costs. Now, if you're going to finance it with a bank, banks don't usually want you to give them back their money in 4 months. They want to be able to make a decent amount. That's their business. So they like you to hold it for about 7 months or more. If you have a property that you're going to be holding on to for 7 months or more, the bank might be an option for you. For some people, they might go with a hard money lender, which is a private lender. So let's take this example, and let's say that you get a hard money lender. That person, you're going to ask them for a loan for $385. I mean, $385,000. $385. So interest rate is usually, for a hard money lender, they usually charge you 10 to 12% interest, but that's annual. So you're going to take the 12% and you're going to divide it by 12 because it's an annual rate. That comes out to 1% a month times the 4 months that you're going to keep it, 15,400. That's your interest. So the hard money private lending cost is 15,400 because that's what you're paying them per month. We're going to add that over here. Now remember, you're going to pay them back their money, right? But the point over here, let's say, for example, that you're going to pay $120,000 in repairs. Well, you add that right here. And then your purchase cost, let's say it's 2,400. Again, closing costs. So 2,400. And then your profit. From the very beginning, before you even look for a property, you tell yourself how much of a profit you want. So if you want 10% profit, you're going to make $62,000 out of that. considering that the house is going to be 620,000 and that you owe 385,000 that you asked for from the hard money lender, you want 62,000. When you add up all these numbers, this is the amount that the house has to be. Now remember, we said we're going to work with numbers, not emotions. So when you see a house and you like it, but it's 400,000, you're going to say no to that house, because in order for you to be able to get your 10%, you're going to have to go with 385,200 in order to be able to get that 10% that you want. So that's why all of these numbers are important. We need somebody to give us the estimate of a house in the area. Once it's all fixed up, what would it be worth? Do all of these numbers, get a contractor to come and calculate how much it's going to cost to fix it, and then add all these things up with your 10% to find out what is the price of a house that you're looking for. Now, this number and this number are going to be different depending on what area you're looking at. Some people can do some of those houses that are falling apart. They either they're really good at it, or they're not afraid of it, or they have contractors that they can trust, and so they go ahead and do those. That number might be really low when you're purchasing. That might be 90,000. That might be 100,000. That might be 200,000, depending on what the area is and what the value is of the properties in that area. But then you'll be able to, bring that up. And remember, you want to have a minimum of 10% profit. So once you do your numbers, you'll be able to see what your profit is going to be, approximately, right? So besides the numbers, you must also consider how much time and energy will it require, and how much is an hour of your time worth. So if you're like really packed with work and family and all of these things that are going on in your life, it may not be the season for you to be able to do a fix and flip, because you have to be present. You have to know what's going on. You don't want to just leave it to a contractor and then never see it again until it's finished, because a lot of things can happen in between. So you want to be on top of what's going on. You want to know how much it's costing. You want to make sure that when somebody said they were going to do something, they actually do it. And so that's going to require time. It's also going to require energy. But maybe you just go once a week. Maybe that also talks about what distance it is from where you live. How far do you want it? So most people want it like in 1 hour radius, right? Not more than that, because you have to drive an hour to get to the property. And how often are you going? So you want to be able to measure all of those things in order to be successful in the decision of doing a fix and flip. So the other thing is finding the cash. Now, we talked a little bit more about hard money lenders, and let's talk a little bit more about that. So how do we find the cash? You hear about people saying, hey, we bought a property, we didn't have any money. How did they do that, right? So let's look at obtaining the funds. Where do I get the money from? What is most needed in a flip is not money, it's to be creative. You want to be creative in finding your money. The more you learn and listen, the more creative you can get. This is what I'm talking about with education. The more education we have on something, the more we can understand what the possibilities are. Because if you have a question, you can always find the answer. But if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't even know what questions to ask, right? So the more we educate ourselves on the subject, the more we can lean into some of the possibilities that are out there. So how do you finance the project? Well, number one is money for the purchase of the property. 2, money for the down payment. You need that. You need the purchase money. You need the down payment money. You need the money for repairs, and you need the monthly expenses. We already covered that from the calculator. Money for the purchase of the property. 1, personal finances. If you have the money, you can pay cash, right? But remember, you have to pay for the purchase, the down payment. You have to pay for the repairs, but pay for the holding, right? So if you have the personal finances, that could be a good possibility. The second one is private lending, the hard money lenders that we were talking about. The third is the seller financing. And the fourth is the traditional financing that requires you to hold the property for 7 months or more. You don't need to have much money or capital to make your next flip. If the numbers make sense, if you do your numbers and they make sense, the numbers will finance the project. What do I mean by that? If your numbers make sense, then somebody who has the money will see it as an opportunity. They won't see it as a risk. They'll see it as an opportunity because your numbers make sense. So you want to make sure that your numbers are solid. You can't predict everything, but you can minimize the risk by really, really getting into those numbers. In other words, the better the numbers in a flip, the easier it will be to find the funds. So let me talk a little bit more about these other two things that might not be that familiar. The private lending. There are people who have cash and want to invest it, but they don't want the work. And those are the private lenders. That's the hard money lenders. If you have money that you don't want to do the work, you can find someone to invest in. These are all contracts. These are all solid contracts that you do, and you're the one then, as the money lender, looking for solid numbers, right? So you can look at it both ways. Either you have the cash, but you don't want to do the work, you can lend that cash out. And sometimes we think that it's a lot of cash, but it's not. It could be $6,000, $10,000. It could be $50,000. It could be $300,000, but it doesn't have to be. Some people take several money lenders, private lenders, to be able to complete one project. So private lending is one way to go. And then the other one is seller financing. Seller financing is when the person who is selling the property is actually the one who is financing what you're going to be doing. And again, everything is done with contracts, and you want to be able to talk to your attorney about drawing up those contracts for you. So let's go back over here to fixing the property. Fix the property. Remodeling project management. One, what work has to be done to the property? Now, you want to be able to get yourself a good contractor. I have heard from some of our clients who do fix and flips that they prefer to be the contractor themselves and hire subcontractors. So a contractor has subcontractors. And the contractor is usually the one who oversees everything. And then you have the subcontractor who's doing the plumbing, the subcontractor who's doing the painting, the subcontractor, all of these subcontractors. What one of our clients says is that he prefers to do a subcontractor and be the contractor himself, because if the contractor takes a day off or has all his people take the day off, that's it. He's out of somebody doing the work. Where if he's working directly with the subcontractors, then he's able to get his work done faster. Now, for that to happen, plus he doesn't have to pay a contractor, because the contractor takes a cut from all of the subcontractors. So it's cheaper. However, you do have to know a little bit about what's going on, because otherwise, that's one of the things. You can hold the contractor accountable for all of the things that the subcontractors are doing, which is something you can't do if you don't have a contractor. So you want to get a contractor who's going to give you a good, solid estimate. Now, unless you are a contractor and can do it yourself, you want to get an expert to do this, because again, remember, solid numbers will get you the money. When you present it either to the bank or you present it to the private lender, whatever means you're going to get the money from, you want to have those solid numbers. So you want to be able to get a good contractor. Who is going to do the work? We talked about that already. And who is going to supervise and pick the materials and accessories? So you want to get all of that done in the conversation with your contractor. Remodel the property according to the sales price and the area, make sure you don't over remodel. So there's 5 improvements that usually increase the home's value. 1, open concept has been very popular, right, in the last few years. 2, the kitchen. 3, the master bathroom. 4, painting and flooring. 5, curb appeal. Now, also, these are the 5 things that have home value, that improve the home value of your house. So if you're looking to do some remodeling in your home, be careful about what you choose to remodel. Now, if you're planning to be there and this is just for your enjoyment, then go ahead, right? But if you're thinking of the future and you're going to be, selling your home in a few years, then these are the top 5. And I would say if you have a major improvement that you want to do and you're wondering whether it's going to raise the value of your home, check with your realtor, because the realtor will be able to tell you if that really improves the home. Some people think that, for example, changing the roof, and we're going to kind of sidetracking here because I'm talking about your home. Some people think that by changing the roof, they're raising the value of their home. Actually, what they're doing is making sure it doesn't go down, because people expect when they buy a home that they're going to live in, that the roof is in good condition. So you want to keep your roof in good condition, but not to raise the value of your home, to make sure it doesn't go down. So that's just a little sidetrack. But these are the 5 things that you want to keep an eye out when you're improving a fix and flip. Now, these are some pictures of a before and after. And see some of the things that I'm really amazed in, and the contractor can help you with it if you don't have that gift, is when you see a property and I mean, I have that problem. When we did this interview with this couple that does fix and flips, it's amazing to me that they will see a wall where there isn't a wall, and they will remove a wall in their mind and make space or move the rooms however they want to do that. And so you can see that this is something like that, where maybe in the before picture you couldn't possibly see what it would look like afterwards. But your contractor can help you because they know which walls you can remove, which ones you have to keep, and so on. So you said before and afters, just to give you an idea. And you see these on social media all the time. So the house is ready. Now it's time to sell the property. Reselling the property. 5 keys to maximize your profit at the time of sale. Property is completely finished. You don't want to leave anything hanging or unfinished. You want to complete whatever it was that you were going to complete on that property. It has to be clean. You'd be surprised how much it helps to have a property completely clean. You don't want the construction stuff still left in there. You want to have everything clean, and you may consider staging. Now, staging is an additional expense that you want to consider if you're going to be doing a high-end home, but you don't want to do staging necessarily, invest a lot of time, a lot of money in staging when the property is not going to be worth that much. So it depends on what property it is, how much of your profit is, because anything that's additional is cutting into your profit. So you want to make sure that you're doing the best, but you're not cutting into your profit too much, right? So clean is important. You may want to consider staging. You want to hire a real estate agent to sell the property. Now, a real estate agent, sometimes you think that maybe you have to pay the real estate agent. However, you're going to save yourself a lot of hassle. You're going to, in general, real estate, when you use a real estate agent, they increase the value. You get more out of the value of your house because of the negotiating, because they know how much the house is worth, because they know strategies. They've been doing it for a while. This is a really good way to do it. The clients that we have, they always use us for their flipping, because it's just easier for them it's part of their system. Number 4, choose the right price for the property. Your realtor can help you with that. And then create competition. So that's part of the negotiation, part of the pricing. This is a little bit about staging the property. Nowadays, you can virtually stage the property and your realtor can help you with that, and your photographer can help you with that. You can stage it virtually as well. And so who wants to make money with fix and flips? I think everybody wants to make money with fix and flips but it's not easy. So we need to get the information that's necessary for us. Thank you for being here. And if you don't have any more questions or concerns or comments. Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for being with us while you were driving.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for being here.
Elias, sorry, I have a quick question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, it's just I just scanned the QR code and online it says June 16th and on the flyer it says June 6th. I just want to double check.
Oh, yeah.
June. Yes, it's 16th. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. Okay. Thank you.
for catching that. This is 16th. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.